Well, this whole thing with the seat posts for the Dawes Galaxy rebuild turned into a bit more of a saga than I was really expecting. In case you don't know, seat posts come in increments of 0.2 of a millimetre in thickness, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, but it's enough to make all the difference between the seat post either fitting correctly or being so tight it won't go in at all, or being so loose that it just slides up and down and you can't tighten it. So you have to get it exactly right. Anyway, the starting point was the seat post which I had scavenged from my old Dawes Galaxy, and this is a 27.2 millimetre, and when I measured this new frame seat tube with the vernier calipers, that also appeared to be 27.2, so my initial assumption was the same seat post would fit. It didn't, it turned out to be too tight, and so time for a bit of online research, and I discovered that Reynolds 531 frames from this period, the 1980s and 1990s, this one is 1993, would almost certainly be either 27.2 or 27.0. So, armed with that information, the 27.2 being too thick, I was confident to order in a 27.0 seat post, which is this one. And when I tried to put it in, I had exactly the same result as the 27.2. It went in some distance and then it got stuck. So I wasn't really quite sure what to do at that point. I went to get some advice from my local bike shop. They measured the seat tube and reckoned it was 26.8. So I next ordered in the same model of, exactly the same model of seat post, but in 26.8 millimetres. And when I tried to put that in, it just slid straight in and was too loose to tighten the clamp. So at that point I thought I was going a bit crazy, because if 27.0 was too thick and 26.8 was too thin, there's no size in between. So what I did next was went back and measured this 27.0 labelled seat post, and lo and behold, with the vernier calipers, it measured at 27.2, the same as the original, so it's not surprising it didn't fit. But that's really something that should never happen. That's, poor quality control at the factory, because it's clearly labelled as 27.0 and it isn't. So that one's going to have to go back for a refund. So I was getting a bit fed up of ordering things in and waiting for them to come and then they didn't fit. So I decided to go to my local bike shop, and they confirmed my measurement of the 27.0 labelled one that is too thick. They were able to sell me a real 27.0, which they confirmed with the measurement, which should now fit the frame. Unfortunately, they were only able to provide one from stock which has a single bolt design. I prefer to have the design with two bolts on it, and the reason for that is that with the single bolt I actually once had one of those shear off on me, which meant the saddle dropped out from under my bottom, and if I'd been going any faster than just walking pace, which luckily I happened to be doing at the time, could have turned out a bit nasty. So I really want to have twin bolt seat posts in future, but I'm just going to get up and running with this one, and then I can order in a better one as a later upgrade. So there we go. Let's just put some grease onto this seat post now, and install it in the frame, and hopefully that'll be job done. Looks promising. So now with a seat post that fits, at long last the Dawes is complete and ready to ride, except that of course a bike is never really complete because there's always something else that needs doing. And ready to ride, well, I need to go over the whole thing, top to bottom, front to back, just making sure everything's properly adjusted. I didn't leave anything loose when I was putting it together, so I'm going to give it a good check over before I actually really do ride it. And the other thing that I need to do is wait for the snow to melt outside, because at the moment the weather isn't great for riding a bike like this without fat tyres and stuff. So hopefully sometime in the next days or couple of weeks I'll be out on this bike and I'll be able to give you another update.